Good morning, everyone. It is so good to see you on this beautiful sunny Sunday morning. Welcome to a Sunday worship service. My name is Richard Moraz, and I'm the senior minister here, and we are so thrilled that you're joining us today. Thank you.
And my name is Jimmy Scott, pastoral care minister here, and it's a pleasure to be welcoming you here today as well. You know, Dr. Dyer talked about unity being a positive place. Well, there's one particular reason for that, and that's because we teach the positive, practical teachings of Jesus Christ, and those teachings are applicable to everyday life. Down south, we say we teach things that make you ready for where the rubber meets the road.
I like that slogan. Unity teaches you where the rubber meets the... Well, anyway, that's kind of cool. So our church has a mission. Our entire ministry has a mission. It's our mission as a community, and it'll appear up on the screen. And let us affirm our mission together. Unity of Phoenix is a loving spiritual community that welcomes all people and honors all paths to God.
We are dedicated to transforming lives by inspiring and awakening individuals to discover God's Spirit within them.
So everyone just take a deep breath and just open your heart to give God your undivided attention. Allow that Spirit of God to shine brightly through you today.
Announcements. Now is that time in our service for a time of prayer and meditation. So if you have a cell phone on you, I want to encourage you to either place that on silence or vibrate. And Kristen will lead us in our meditational song.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
So now I invite you to take just a few moments to allow yourself to be comfortable. Just take a deep, relaxing, cleansing breath. If it feels appropriate for you, close your eyes and begin to shut out the external world. And then equally as important, also begin to slow your mind down, to temporarily set aside any cares or any concerns, any doubts, any fears. Just allow yourself to be fully present in the moment. In the practice of living, most of us get caught up in the busyness of everyday activities and sometimes forget just how important it is to be able to go apart for a while, to get quiet the mind down. Not only is it important in terms of shutting down the internal chatter, but it's also very important in terms of our health and well-being. Because it gives us an opportunity to be mindful that we have a power that is deep within us, that has the intelligence and the capacity to generate healing and transformation on its own. It's called the Spirit of God in you. The Apostle Paul called it Christ in you, your hope of glory. Whatever name we attach to this power, The truth of the matter is, it has amazing capacity to move us into a place of serenity and peacefulness and calmness. It also has the power to engender an appreciation for the gifts of life. An appreciation for family and friends, for longevity and for good health, for peace of mind, for abundant prosperity. For the ability to love and accept our neighbors as ourselves. So again, I invite you to take a deep, relaxing breath, to make sure you're seated comfortably in your seat. For the next few moments, just allow yourself to be quiet and to be still, to be open and to be receptive to that divine spirit within you and all around you. Just feel the energy, the quietness and the peacefulness. The healing power of Almighty God is always renewing and restoring and reinvigorating us at every level of our being. So we give thanks for that reality in the name and through the nature of the living Christ. And so it is. And amen.
Our Father, day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
Every step I've taken since the world's been turning, it's brought me one step closer to the truth. Every step I've taken on this long, long journey has brought me to this moment right here with you. There were moments of laughter and moments of pain. There were times when I barely remembered my name. Through it all, there was something missing. Deep inside, I always knew. Every step I've taken since the world's been turning, it's brought me one step closer to the truth. Every step I've taken on this long, long journey has brought me to this moment right here with you. Yeah, I was looking for answers, trying to be strong. Thought that my life was happy till you came along. Now a look from you breaks my heart open, and your love comes shining through. Every step I've taken since the world's been turning brought me one step closer to the truth. Every step I've taken on this long, long journey has brought me to this moment with you. 'Cause somehow I knew that the worst of times would one day turn out right. For every second of darkness, there's an hour of light. Yeah, every step I've taken since the world's been turning has brought me one step closer to the truth. Every step I've taken on this long, long journey has brought me to this moment. It's brought me to this moment. It's brought me to this moment right here with you. Right here with you.
Good morning again, everyone. And a special welcome to everybody who watches us online. Thanks so much for tuning in. So how many people here have ever had a problem that was so daunting, so challenging and overwhelming, you just didn't know what to do and you weren't quite sure how to handle it? Anybody ever? Or how many people ever had a situation that was so challenging and you weren't quite sure if you really had what it took to make it through, to overcome it, and to fulfill your dreams, right? I think every one of us has times in our lives where we have a situation where we just don't know what to do. A situation in our lives where we're not quite sure if we really have what it takes to face it, to handle it, to move through it, and to overcome it. Now, if I told you that God would appear to you and say, ask what I should give you. What should I give you? Based on what's going on in your life, in your situation, what you're facing and what you're dealing with, what would you ask God to give you? What would be the most important thing based on how your life is going now that you would want from God? What thing, if you could have it, would make the greatest difference in your life if God gave it to you right now? Today's message is entitled The Wisdom of Solomon. Solomon was, considered the wisest person in the Bible, a great king. And so today we're talking about the wisdom of Solomon. And that reminds me of the story of these two women. These two women who went to King Solomon. And these two women were dragging between them this young man who was wearing a suit. And the first woman spoke and said, "King Solomon, this young CPA agreed to marry my daughter." And the second woman said, "No, this young CPA agreed to marry my daughter." And they're arguing back and forth about who this young CPA's daughter he agreed to marry. And finally, King Solomon says, "Silence. Bring my sword. Bring the biggest one." And he says, "I will hew this young man in half, and each of you can have a half of him." And the first woman said, "Fine, that sounds good to me." And the second woman said, "Wise King Solomon, please don't spill any innocent blood. Let this young CPA marry the daughter of the other woman, of the first woman." And without hesitation, King Solomon said, "The young CPA will marry and must marry the daughter of the first woman." And the court was shocked, and they exclaimed, "But King Solomon, the first woman is the one who said that the young man should be hacked in half." And King Solomon said, "Precisely. And that clearly shows that she is the true mother-in-law." Wisdom. We're talking about wisdom today. And I wondered if it was a wise thing for me to make a joke about mother-in-laws. So in 1 Kings chapter 3, God appears before Solomon just after he became king and said, "Ask what I should give you." Ask what I should give you. And here's what Solomon replied. And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant, my father, David, because he walked before you in faithfulness, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart towards you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne today. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father, although I am only a child. I do not know how to go out or come in, and your servant is in the midst of the people whom you have chosen, a great people, so numerous they cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people." And the thing I like about his response, God asks him, "Ask what I should give you." And the first thing he does is he reflects on how good God was to his father. He acknowledges how honored it is for him to have been chosen to follow his father and to now be king. But he also acknowledges that I am only a child. I do not know how to go out. I don't know how to come in. He feels that he is not qualified. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know if he could handle this task of leading this great people that are so largely numbered. And so what he asks for, to be a great king, he asks for an understanding mind. Now think about that. If you were a king and you weren't sure, how to be a great king, what would you ask for to help you be a great king? At some level, I would say, well, give me a bigger army, or maybe some really powerful soldiers, or some loyal subjects. Give more weapons. Give me a nicer castle. I mean, there are all kinds of things that a king could ask for: more power, more weapons, more land. But instead, he asked for something unusual. He asked for an understanding mind. And interestingly, he asked for the understanding mind to help him be a great king. And what happened? This untrained, unqualified, inexperienced, neophyte child of a king became a great ruler. He became a great leader. He made treaties. He connected with other nations. He worked together harmoniously. They worked together to build temples, to build the city. And, he built a great life. He had great honors. He had great riches. He lived an inspired life. So inspired through asking for an understanding mind is that King Solomon wrote the book of Proverbs, writing over 3,000 Proverbs, words of wisdom. King Solomon wrote the Songs of Solomon, over 1,000 songs praising the power and the greatness and the awesomeness of God. An understanding mind transformed him, and that understanding mind transformed his kingdom, transformed his life. So the question is, what did Solomon know about wisdom that would have him pick it above all else in becoming a great king, in becoming successful in his life and handling a situation he thought he didn't know how to handle, and one that he didn't think he was qualified to lead? So my question is, what is wisdom? The wisdom that Solomon's talking about is not intelligence. It's not education. It's not experience. It is not of the intellect. The wisdom that Solomon is talking is the wisdom of God. He is talking about tapping in to the divine source, tapping into the mind of God, tapping into the source and that created everything and ordered the sun and the stars and the flow of the seasons. He is talking about tapping into that infinite intelligence that created us and everything around us for the guidance and for the answers. He is talking about listening to the still small voice, and he's talking about the wisdom that comes through that intuitive knowing. It gives us spiritual understanding and discernment to know what is the right and the best things to do. That source that gives us insight and revelation, guidance and direction. Solomon knew that an understanding mind opens the path to the answers, to the wiser choices, to the best decisions, to the sense of direction, to the sense of knowing how to handle what is before us and how to attract and create even greater things. So what shall I give you? Based on what's going on in your life, how many people, and think of what's going on in your life, how many people think you might benefit a little from asking and receiving a more understanding mind? Anybody? How many think that whatever you're going through right now would be benefited if you were to take time to seek God's wisdom? Anybody? And so today, we are going to look at Solomon as our example, because the way he responded to that question, and what shall I give you? That his response, I think, is a powerful message for all of us in how to handle our lives when we don't know what to do and we aren't sure we have what it takes to handle it. One of the things that so inspires me about Solomon is that not did he ask for wisdom, is how did he know that wisdom was a good thing to ask for? Think about that. At some level, he had to know that wisdom was a really good thing, that an understanding mind was a good thing. Because at some level, part of Solomon's wisdom came in the awareness and having the faith that just because you don't have something today doesn't mean you can't acquire it and become it tomorrow. Because you don't have wisdom now doesn't mean you can't acquire it. He knows that we have the power that even though today doesn't look as good, today we don't feel as confident, that we can actually acquire and grow into greater wisdom. I mean, every one of us at times in our lives, sometimes we think, you're either born with it or you're not. You got it or you don't. Some have it and some don't. But the truth of the matter is every one of us has times like him where we feel like a child. Well, we feel like we're overwhelmed in a situation and we just don't know what to do. Someone who has just lost a loved one, sometimes in that moment feels like they don't have it and they don't know how to go on. Someone who might have lost their job and has to provide for their family wonders if they have it and if they could really get it, if they can handle that. Someone facing an addiction, going to their first AA meeting, might wonder, I don't have it now. Will I ever really get it? Like going to school on the first day of your new grade. Sometimes we wonder, do I really have what it takes to learn what I need to learn and to do better? We might have a financial hardship that's so daunting, we think, I don't have it. I don't see the answer. It'll never come. But what Solomon did is he tapped into a deeper belief that knows that even if you don't have something now, that greater things are possible. That even if you don't have it now, that we are tapped into a source that can bring forth greater possibilities, greater answers. He knew that even though he was a child, there was a king inside of him that he could grow into, that he could that he could expand into. There was confidence that he didn't feel now that he could grow into. There was leadership. There was wisdom. Moses in the beginning was not a good leader, but Moses grew. Just because he didn't have it then, he grew into something better. So whatever you're facing right now and you're feeling like, I don't know the answer, guess what? Have faith that even though you don't have it now, that there's something greater for you. That there are greater possibilities. There are greater blessings, that you will grow into it. Because when you look at the nature of life, life is an unfolding, expanding, evolving experience. As children, we grow. In every level of life, we grow into the greater things. And whatever you're facing right now that's scaring you, guess what? Get excited because you're going to grow. That God has put you exactly in the place you need to be. And that's why I love in the book of James when it says, count it all joy, brethren, when you are experiencing trials of any kind. Count it joy when you're in a place where you don't know and don't think you can do it, because the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its effect so that you will know that you are whole, complete, and lacking in nothing. That whatever is there before you, have the faith and count it joy that you're going to expand into something greater, that you will become more than you are currently. That is the nature of life. Everybody see everything you see around here? At one point, none of it you couldn't see because it wasn't here. But someone had a faith and an idea that even though I don't have it now, something greater can grow. Some greater possibilities for my life, some greater possibilities for the world. And so the question is for you, in your life right now, are you willing, like Solomon, to have the faith that just because you don't have it now doesn't mean that it can't grow, that there are greater possibilities for you? Second thing that Solomon did is that there might be great possibilities, and that's really a good place to start for wisdom and life to grow, but you need to ask for it. The kingdom of God may be within us and all around us, but you need to ask. It says, ask and you shall receive. Ask. Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you received it and it will be yours. Why is asking so powerful? Because asking activates the flow of God's good. It activates it. Asking actually opens a path for God's goodness to be shaped and drawn into your life. That the more you ask for God's wisdom, the more you ask for divine guidance, the more you ask for what is the highest and best for things to go, you will activate it to come forth in your life. So the very next line in Scripture, that after it says you are whole, complete, lacking in nothing, it says this: if you are lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives generously to all. I have a friend who anything in her life, she stops and says, God, is this the best for me? God, is this the best decision for my career? God, is the best decision for my relationship? God, is this the wisest thing I could do for my body? God, is this the best thing I could do for my life? And I always thought, you just stop all day? God, is this the best? And at first I thought, well, that's a silly way to live. But then you realize what she's doing is pausing and tapping into the wisdom of God. That the more we activate the wisdom of God, the more it opens our lives for the answers, for the wisdom, for the guidance. So the question for you is, are you willing this week to just pause in whatever going on in your life and say, God, is this the best decision for me to make? Is this the best action for me to take? Is this the best thing I could do for my life and in this situation? Because asking activates. Second thing that is important is that asking aligns us with spirit. One of the things that really pleased God is that Solomon didn't ask for stuff. Solomon asked for an understanding mind. Solomon realized that life is consciousness, that life isn't about stuff, that life is about consciousness and what's going on within us. Instead of asking to be a great king, you know what he asked for? Give me the mindset of what a great king will be like. Instead of asking for money or winning the lottery, it's like saying, God, give me the consciousness of abundance that will attract the prosperity that I'm seeking. Instead of just asking for a job, ask for the consciousness of someone who will attract the kind of job that they really love. Instead of asking for a relationship, ask for the consciousness of love and compassion and feeling worthy of that level of relationship. Is this making sense, everyone? See, we get stuck on the thing, ask for the thing. No, it's ask for the consciousness and the mindset that makes the thing possible. There are people who've won the lottery, but guess what? They lose it. Why? Because the consciousness that supports that level of abundance wasn't fully established. Life is lived from the inside out. The more you cultivate the mindset, the understanding mind, he asked for the mind of a great king. Ask for the mind of whatever it is you want to become and experience. And when you start with the consciousness and align with it, whatever you want will be attracted to you. Asking activates, it aligns. And the third thing is it allows the inspiration and the ideas and the goodness we are seeking to come forth from all different channels. So a friend of mine has a successful business and paid someone to set up their website and do their marketing and got the bill, and it was huge. Like way, way above anything she would have imagined. And so she's a little upset by this because it's huge. The person didn't tell her what the price was. A little upset at herself for not clarifying what that is. And she was thinking, well, how do I handle this? Because sometimes we think, well, I am going to tell that person off. Or I'm going to do this or whatever. And so she prayed and prayed and prayed about, God, what is the best way for me to handle this situation? So she crafted a beautifully written explanation saying, I'm happy to honor this. You are well worth it. And this is a little beyond my budget, and we didn't discuss it. And I'd love to work with you again. But in the future, if we could figure something out that would work better for me. She blessed the letter. She blessed the person, sent it off. 3 days later, or 4 days later, she gets a proposal from someone for her business that was an outrageous contract. I mean, that would have blessed her with tons of money. And so she said, so how'd you hear about me? Well, she said, so-and-so told me. So-and-so was the woman that she sent the letter to. And the point I'm trying to make here is that when you set that consciousness and you seek the wisdom and the guidance of God of what the best thing to do is, other things from different channels will come and bless your life. So often we just are so short-sighted. We say, God, get rid of that problem. But no, it's God, give me the consciousness that will handle this problem, but that will draw forth the solution and help me create the kind of life and the person I want to become. This is much bigger than we realize, tapping into that wisdom. But you got to ask, because asking activates, it aligns, and it allows the good to come forth. Final thing that's important about tapping into wisdom is to understand what Solomon understood, and that is that spiritual laws always work. They work every day. Spiritual laws do not take a vacation. And I want you to get this. Here's what the law says in the book of Matthew, chapter 13. To he who has, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But to he who has not, even that which they have will be taken away. And, when Solomon was seeking God's guidance and wisdom in everything, tapping into that divine intelligence for his kingdom prospered, his life prospered. He got way more than he ever asked because he was in alignment with Spirit all the time. And he got more than he ever could have asked for. To he who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. Who has a consciousness of wisdom, that they will have more and they will get an abundance. And then Solomon switched his focus and stopped focusing on God. He came focused on his ambition and his pleasures. And immediately Solomon's life began to struggle. His struggles increased, his kingdom weakened, he had more frustration. His mind was divided, and guess what? His kingdom was divided. To he who has, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But to he who has not, who doesn't seek the wisdom of God, even that which they have will be taken away. And one of the things that I've realized is that there is no such thing as spiritual cruise control. It doesn't exist. How many people, when they got into spiritual stuff, thought, you know what, I'm going to get so spiritual, I'm going to get to that level, and I'm just going to coast and cruise through life. Anybody other than me thought that, please? Somebody put your hand up. Every one of us have thought of that, but one of the deals is spiritual principles work every day. They don't take a day off. Somebody once said, the only thing I don't like about life is it is just so daily. It's so daily. It happens every day. And that's the thing, is spiritual principles need to be practiced every day. Give us today our daily bread. Paul said, I die daily. Jesus prayed daily. Life is lived daily, and spiritual principles must be practiced daily. To think, that I'll get to this level of spirituality and I'll cruise and I'll just coast is similar to saying, you know what? I brushed my teeth so well this morning that I don't think I'll brush for the next 4 days. I mean, really, that meal I had today was so good, I'm not going to eat for a week. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? Well, what about our spiritual principles? Do you think Jesus ever said, woof, that prayer was so good? I'm going to ride that bad boy for a couple of weeks. No. Daily. You got to practice the principles daily. Spiritual principles don't take a day off. That's what Solomon practiced it, and he was the richest, the most amazing king and a great leader, and he stopped, and his kingdom was divided. Because our attention is divided. Our spiritual practice is divided and weakened. So I directed a murder mystery dinner theater play in North Carolina at the church there. It was called Murder in Mayville, and it was 5 actors, and there was a detective, and the whole little murder scene stuff. And we were practicing, and there was the key actor was an older, big bear of a gentleman, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he had a tough time with his memory. And so the other actors thought he would mess up, and I said, no, this ain't Broadway, this is a ministry, and we're going to minister together. I worked with him every extra night. There was no practice. I had everybody visualizing, I had them praying, I had them affirming, I had them just seeing everything go well. We had 2 performances, one on a Friday, one on a Saturday. On the opening performance on the Friday, they knocked it out of the park. We prayed all before we really did a great job. The next day, they were so excited about their success, so excited about the cast party we were throwing at my house. They were at my house bringing food, doing all this kind of stuff, that they didn't get centered. They rode on the excitement of the night before, and Saturday night bombed. Missed lines, missed cues, not just from the guy they thought would forget, everybody did. And it taught me an important lesson, that you need to be game ready and spiritually centered for everything. You can't take a night off, you can't take a day off. The next day after that theater production, I went skydiving in Raleigh. And when I'm doing like dangerous things, like someone is operating on me or sticking a needle in me or I'm jumping out of a plane with someone, I tend to ask, how long have you been doing this? And so I asked the guy, I said, how many times have you done this? He said, 4,000 times. And I thought, woo. And he said, and I said, so this must be easy for you. He said, no. He said, every single time I take it seriously. Every single time I check the safety stuff. Every single time I follow the rules. Every single time I check the the parachute every single time. I check everything I need to. And because I do, I'm able to relax and enjoy the ride. I'm able to be more present and have more fun. That same principle works with life. The spiritual principles, you got to pray every day. You got to seek God's wisdom every day. You got to tap into that divine intelligence, and then you can relax, and life will get better. Life will prosper. Life will go smoother. But you have to do that work daily, daily, daily. How important is wisdom? Here's what Solomon wrote in the book of Proverbs. Happy are those who find wisdom and those who get understanding. For her income is better than silver, and her revenue better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare to her. So this week, anytime you feel like you don't know what to do, like a child in an overwhelming situation, don't know if you can handle it, remember the example of Solomon. If God were to say, what can I give you? Remember to ask for an understanding mind. Remember that you may not have it now, but you can grow into a greater leader, into a greater wisdom, to the greater things for your life if you ask, because it'll activate, it'll align, and it'll allow the good into your life. And you must practice it every day, because the more you do it, the easier and the more joyful your life will get. And that, my friends, is the wisdom of Solomon. God bless you all.
Today, we have our teens who are going to lead us in our prayer for protection. So let's all stand and join hands as we sing our closing song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now, a prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.